We are live. So welcome everyone. Welcome. Thank you for taking the time and joining this session today on WordPress. This is a live webinar that is organized by One.com and Startup Central here in Copenhagen. We are live right now, but this webinar will remain on our YouTube channel, so please make sure that you're subscribed if you want to watch it afterwards. And with me, I have my colleague Alina, who is handling the live chat. So if you have any questions or comments, make sure to leave them in the live chat, and we'll do our best to respond to them. So let's get started. Today is all about WordPress. This will be a very basic session. I don't expect you to have any prior knowledge of WordPress. For those of you who do, there will be some repetition in there. I will go over the very basics of WordPress, why you should use it as a business owner, and so forth. So let's deep dive into the agenda of the day. First, let's talk a little bit about what WordPress is. Plan your website, which we will follow up by installing WordPress on a One.com webspace. We will do some building on a somewhat pre-built project that I've been playing around with, and then go live and grow. We will finish off today's session by talking a little bit about maintenance and how you can avoid it. So let's get started. So what is WordPress, and what does that mean to you as a business owner who is about to start their business and go online? WordPress is a content management system. A content management system, i.e. it's a publishing software for your website. It's free and open source. And what does that mean to you as a business owner? The most important is that, of course, it's free for you to download and use as you see fit. You can use it for personal use. You can use it for commercial use. You're free to make money off it. You're free to build whatever you want on top of it. You're also free to redistribute it. So it's something you can use that's only limited to your imagination. Like most good things on the internet. So WordPress has, for this reason, amongst others, grown into the world's most loved CMS. That means that it's used by all types of websites online. You have small websites like personal blogs, your mom and pop shop down the street, or you have giants like Bloomberg and the White House, Disney, Spotify, big companies like that using WordPress and loving it. Every fourth website you see online is powered by WordPress. So WordPress is also built of three main components. It has the WordPress core, the publishing software itself. It has a theme, which is a style sheet that controls the way your website looks. And then there are tons of plugins to add any functionality you want to your website. Currently, I think there are about 65,000 of them. So this means for you, infinite functionality. You can start small, and as your business grows, WordPress can be made into whatever you want it to be. You can add functionality as you grow. You also have excellent opportunity to control and leverage your performance. As opposed to using a different CMS that allows you to build a beautiful website fast, with WordPress you can actually actively work on how it performs online. For example, you can control how fast your website loads in a number of different ways. Another benefit of using WordPress for you is that it has the world's biggest knowledge base. This knowledge base is so big because so many people use WordPress. If every fourth website runs on WordPress, of course people are going to be making YouTube videos and tutorials and help articles and guides. So if you get stuck, you're not alone. WordPress is maintained by a global, vibrant open source community. Do you see the picture I have here on this slide? It's from a WordPress conference called WordCamp Europe last year. And this is just the beginning of the conference. I think we were about 3,000 people attending. So people care about WordPress. There are full-time engineers devoted to nothing but improving on WordPress. And there are also many volunteers that work without compensation entirely just because they love it so much and that they have a strong interest in WordPress thriving and becoming even more popular and remaining the #1 CMS of the world. No one else comes close. And this community is largely to thank for that. However, there are two things that I would like you to consider before you decide going ahead and building your website with WordPress. It may seem a little bit daunting at first, and it can be tricky to learn. If you expect a drag and drop type of interface that magically does everything for you, not really, but once you've learned it, you will love it. You will never want to go back. And yes, it's not free from maintenance. Like I said before, it's built out of 3 components. There are software components, and all software needs updating. You update your phones, you update the operating system on your computer. WordPress is no different, so it does require some maintenance. But we have a little shortcut for you that I'm going to describe at the end of the session. I also strongly recommend that you familiarize yourself with WordPress.org, which is the official page of WordPress. There you can learn everything. You can find support forums, learning courses, news. You can also get involved in the community if you want. So, let's talk about the next steps. Before you start building something with WordPress, you need to plan it. And this is what I would argue the main difference, aside from coding knowledge, between a professional developer and a hobby developer, or a business owner just like you trying to get online. The more you plan, the fewer problems you will encounter along the way. For this reason, I would suggest that you start off doing a so-called napkin blueprint. A napkin blueprint is exactly what it sounds. It doesn't have to be complicated at all. Just get a piece of paper and a pen. You don't even need to use a digital tool. Just write down, envision, what do you want your website to do? Who are you building it for? Which type of information do you want to display on it? So do you want a one-pager? Do you want multiple pages? Think about that for a little while. Do you have any idea that you envision how it would look like? Which images will you have on your website? Will you have videos? Will you have a social feed? Think about that for a while. For this exercise, I'm going to do something super, super simple. I'm going to pretend that I'm a full-service event planner, and I want a very, very basic website that has my contact details, a blog page so my customers can follow me in detail to see every single project that I do and connect with me on a deeper level. I want to tell them about who I am and how I work, what my philosophy is, and I want a homepage that describes very straightforward what I can do for them and prompt them to contact me. You can see that on the left. But before we can actually build something, we have to install WordPress. We're going to do so on a One.com web space. And I will walk you through these steps. So let's go to One.com. So here we are in One.com. Some of you may be familiar with our website from before. I actually have something here already. Yeah, so we have a test domain. In One.com, you need to have a domain with us. It can be a domain that you've purchased somewhere else, or you can buy a domain if you don't already have one. So you either buy or transfer your domain. So here I've used the name test domain to see if it's available. Let's see, what do we have here? Let's scrap that so you see how it looks from the beginning. So here we have testdomain.ai. That sounds nice and techy. Let's add that to cart. Ooh, 3 months free hosting. That's added to my basket. Nice. Free website performance and managed WordPress add-on, which I strongly recommend that you get. The reason why I recommend it, first of all, it's free. You can try it. And if you decide that you don't want to move forward with managed WordPress once your site is live, that's okay. We offer it for you to try. So here we are. So we go ahead and click continue, fill out our details, and proceed with the order. Now, one thing I strongly would recommend is that you get your domain and webspace created just a little while before you need to start building. Sometimes this can be a matter of minutes, and sometimes it could be a few hours. But in order to start installing WordPress with us, you need to have your domain pointed to your website. That can take a little while, so buy your domain, set up your web space, go for a nice walk, have a coffee, a nice lunch, and then start building. So here I'm going to go back to my presentation now to show you what it looks like once you are in. Once you log into One.com, there is a WordPress tile. You click that and start a new installation. You will then see a so-called one-click installer. If you have managed WordPress, the one-click installer is included regardless of which plan you're on. If you don't have managed WordPress, the one-click installer is included from Explorer plan and up. The one-click installer has simplified installing the WordPress software on your site significantly. It's a simple process in a few steps. So you go ahead and you click New Installation, follow the instructions, click Continue. Same with step 2. You will end up in another screen that will tell you to choose a theme. You can, of course, go ahead and do that, but for this particular exercise, I would suggest that you skip that step, and I'm going to tell you about why. So you have set up your WordPress, and let's go to the control panel. So you have set up WordPress now, and you are now here. So here you are in your WordPress dashboard. You're still in One.com, and here you have everything that is included in your hosting plan and your managed WordPress service. All the features are right here, and they can be managed from here. We're going to look at them in detail a little bit later, but for now, let's get started with WordPress. So let's go to WP Admin by clicking this blue button right here. So now you're leaving One.com, and you are in the back end of the WordPress software. So here, if you see this for the first time, it might seem a little bit much. And, oh, sorry, let me just change domains because I ended up in the wrong website. I'm sorry, I'm human. Right, so here we are on wpwebinar.site, which will be the test domain for today. So at first, this might seem a little bit much because you have all these new controls that you haven't encountered before. Some of you might. So let me walk you through the dashboard really quickly. So here you have posts, media, pages, and comments, which are different content types. The main content types being pages and posts. Pages are pages that are more evergreen in nature. So it would be on your website, it would be your home page, your About Me page, your contact page. Pages that make sense to have in a navigation menu. And then you have posts, which are more temporary in nature. You keep adding them as you go. These would be blog posts, for example, or temporary content. And this is what it looks like when you click pages, for example. So you have the page with the page title. You have the options to edit, bin, or view the page. The status of the page that says published. And you can actually add new from the left-hand menu. It is the same with posts. For media, you have a library. You can add new, optimize, and so forth. Here, when you come down to appearance, you end up in the theme repository. We're going to get back here shortly. Let's just look through the rest of the functionality on the left-hand panel. We move on to plugins and the plugin repository. Users, where you can manage different user roles, different tools, and then different general settings for your website. I'm not going to go through all of these in detail, but I strongly suggest that you do. Here are a number of pretty straightforward forms for you to fill out that will control the way writing, reading, commenting, and so forth are handled on your website. This is a pretty important part of building a WordPress site, so make sure that you get all your date formats and so forth in order just by looking through these settings. So let's continue to create a visual identity for our website. This in WordPress is done through themes. There are two types of themes for you to choose from. But before we choose a theme, let me go back to my presentation for a while and tell you a little bit more about themes, blocks, patterns, and page builders, and why you should avoid them at all cost. So, what are they? We have classic themes, which are style templates, as simple as that. You get a theme with specific pages that are pre-built for you that you can use to just swap out the content, add your images, add your text, and so on. And then you have something relatively new called a block theme. Block theme allows you to build your own template in order not to get stuck in someone else's design, like you would with a classic theme. We also have block patterns. Before I go into block patterns, maybe it would make sense to tell you what a block is. A block is an element on your page. So it could be a paragraph of text, it could be an image, it could be a combination of these. And you can see that on the image that I have here to the left. This is what it looks like when you want to add a block to a page. These blocks can be grouped into patterns that in themselves are meaningful for displaying content in a specific way. For example, you group things together in a certain way if you want to create lists of benefits of using your service, or if you want to create an image gallery. Those would be block patterns. They're template parts that together with other template parts form a complete template. And then there are the page builders. The page builders provide a different editing experience. If you do not want to use this built-in editor for some reason, I don't know what that would be because it's excellent, then you might want to opt for a page builder such as Elementor or Divi or WP Bakery and so on. There are a few page builders on the market, and their claim to fame is that they offer you a different editing experience. It's all about your preference when it comes to editing. A page builder does, however, add a layer of code, and that layer of code ends up slowing your website down. As a business owner, speed should always be your top priority because you want your website to compete for you online. If you are, say, a baker or a hairdresser, your main objective online is to have a website that is faster than the other baker or hairdresser down the street. This way, when your customers search for you online, your site will be deemed more relevant to show to them, and you will get an advantage. So speed is more important than beauty even. A site should always be as fast as humanly possible. So for that reason alone, I would refrain from using a page builder. Regardless of what you choose, it will take you time to learn to master an editor either way, so you might as well just learn with the core built-in excellent block editor of WordPress. Another reason not to use a page builder would be that your website is less likely to encounter compatibility issues. The block editor is built into the core. So the core is what kind of determines all other component developers. It kind of determines the direction for all other components and their developers. They make sure to build their components compatible with the core, obviously. So fewer compatibility issues at updates and so forth. And your performance will be better. Your site will be served faster, up to 25% faster if you use a block theme in the native editor. And final reason not to use a page builder, have I convinced you yet? Is that they pose a security risk. It's another layer of code that is prone to vulnerabilities, and sometimes these vulnerabilities do get exploited. So please avoid an extra security loophole for hackers to take advantage of. Just don't. Oh, there's another one. It's expensive because most page builders are freemium components. So they have a free version and then they have a full paid version to access all the features. And for this reason, they want you to pay. So when you end up trying to install the functionality you actually want, you will have to pay for it. So let's go back to the WordPress backend and talk a little bit more about themes. So here we are in the theme repository. Here I have installed a block theme called Spectre 1. It's a block theme among others. I chose this pretty much at random, so let's have a look at what else is out there. So here are classic themes. As you can see, there are pros and cons of using both of them. If you happen to find a classic theme that you like, so go ahead and use that. But I would like to show you a block theme because this is something that is quite new to WordPress. We will be using the latest and greatest, version 6.2. Also the default version that will be installed on your webspace when you have a webspace with One.com. So for this reason, why not just learn the latest in WordPress? That is the future of this software. So here we have a tab called Block Themes. You go here. And as you can see, there are 302 of them, as opposed to a tab called Popular, where you have more than 5,000. So here you go. Click and look around what we have in terms of block themes here. So I have chosen Spectre 1 because I like some of the pre-built blocks that it offers. This is what this theme looks like, and it has certain patterns. For example, this panel right here is a pre-built block pattern that I insert with one click onto any page. So let's go and customize our, I have already activated it. So in case you're doing this to code along here, go ahead and activate your theme. And let's go customize it. So as you can see, I have pre-built some things here. I have pre-built a header. I have pre-built this block pattern and a footer. And I have an About Me page right here that's not really built. Just some components I want to show you. The point of this is to show how fast you can create a page. And while we will not have a fully functioning website up and running, complete and done to use, I want to show you that you can be up and live with the most basic aspects of your online presence in just a matter of hours. So let's edit site. One thing that differs when we edit a block theme as opposed to a classic theme is with a block theme you get access to the full site editor that allows you to edit your entire website in one editor. With a classic theme, you would typically have to go and add your pages and then do your menu separately. Here, everything is done in one place. And this is what it looks like. It consists of templates and template parts. Templates are pre-built content, such as archive pages, 404 error pages, home pages that are fully customizable. And you can here pre-build any type of page. For example, to show you that how it's done, I have done a Let's Connect page template, which is basically a contact form. So, which means when I add a new page of this type, this is what it will look like by default. It's of course always customizable. And then there are reusable template parts like the header and footer. You have our header here. You see it looks a lot different than it looks on the actual web page. It's because it's transparent, so you can't really see. And here is the footer. So when I go into edit, I get this top menu here. So let's walk through this menu and what it does. First of all, in the middle here, it shows which template part or template that you are editing. And if I decide that I'm unhappy with what I've built, I can always clear the customizations and go back to the defaults that are provided by the theme. Let's have a look just to see what it looks like. This is what this footer used to look like. And then, if I want to keep building on this, I have a block inserter in the top left corner. The block inserter is actually available to me not only from here, but if I select any part of this page, I can keep adding blocks from here as well. Here is the edit or select tools if you prefer to be in select mode only, so you're able to select different elements of your page and see how they go together. To do so, you also have a very practical list view that tells you a little bit more about how elements are grouped on your page. So here we have a group. Do you notice the blue frame around the content? When I select this, it appears. What happens if I click columns here? So now the blue frame has moved to the inner component here. That is a series of columns grouped together. Column 1, if I want to edit this, this is where I do it. And as you can see, here is my block inserter when it is selected. Down here we have a row. This list view is very practical for you to always be able to select the element you want to work with. But there is an extra navigation here in the left-hand corner down here. Here you can actually navigate between different elements. See? I can go ahead and close this. And when I'm happy with the edits I make, I can click Save. Are you ready to save? The following changes have been made to your site. And it tells me what it has changed. So yes, I would like to go back to this type of footer. And here we actually have a series of settings to choose from. So these are template settings. We also have the block settings. And when I select the block, block settings appear. This circle right here means styles. So if I want to style this specific block, I can go ahead and do that here. And here I will be able to make the necessary changes. For example, if I want to change the background to a vibrant bright pink, which I don't, but you get the idea. Global style settings are found here. And here's where we have something that is called a style book, which is very practical. So let's go ahead and click the style book to see what it means. Style book is a series of presets for your content. So these are global settings that are applied by default for all new content that you create across your website. This makes customizing a theme very fast and very efficient. So for example, if I go ahead and select this headings block, I have a number of options that I can apply to all my headings. I can apply different fonts. I like the Inter font, so let's go ahead and change that. We have the font size for different headings. It could be the default that is provided by the theme, or you can have extra large or small. I like the default, so let's keep it like this. Always, when you make changes, go ahead and save. And as you can see, now we have made changes to our global style, which appears right here. So now let's go back to our website. We've changed the footer. Let's see what it looks like. Let's go here, edit homepage. And now, another really practical thing for you to play around with is the different previews. For example, when designing your website, you really need to think about the experience of mobile viewers that view your site from tablets or phones. When you click View, you can actually select the different previews as you build. And in case something doesn't look right, you can always go to each individual block and play around with the responsive settings and how they will appear when you build for a mobile device. Right. So let's go back here. You can also do different previews just by adjusting your view right here. See? So you can smush things together and see how the visual appearance of your website changes. As you can see, you're in preview mode, so not all parts look the way they do live. For example, we had my transparent header, which looks a little bit weird here, but if we go on here and go on to view the site, here, this is how it looks. So you have an About Me page, and whenever I want to make edits, I can decide whether I want to edit the page or edit the full site. So let's go Home, Edit Site, and add a new page. So here I am in my navigation, right? Do you remember the block inserter? So here I would really like to insert a new page. So what it does, it creates a blank element, and typically with a classic theme, I would have to create the pages first before inserting them into a navigation menu. With a block theme and the full site editing, it's slightly different. So here I can just go ahead and either use some of these pages, or I can have a different title here. I type a different title, and I can choose to create a draft page that is called Services directly from here. I can also change the content type in case I want it to be a search bar or something else. But let's go ahead and create a page. So let's go ahead and save this and view this. Oh, this is not, it's not published. That's why it doesn't come up. So let's go ahead and go to this page. Let's edit page, publish it. Update. And as you can see, once it's published, it goes live here. So you see how simple it is to add a page. So here, let's choose a block. I want a cover, for example. Let's add a picture to it by opening a media library. Here I have uploaded some pictures since before. And here we have added a block. As you can see, each block has responsive settings as well. So you can work on the different ways it's displayed from a mobile device. Here you have a range of block options. So here you see what type of block it is. It's a cover. Now you see the blue frame. Here's where I can write some text. So this is a paragraph. I can actually transform it to heading if I like. What type of heading? I like a good H1, align text, and so forth. Then I can go ahead and select the full block and play around with all the settings here. You have the layout settings, and then you have the styling settings right here. So I like this to be full width, for example, to cover the whole page. Now let's preview this as a new tab. And here we have already started to customize our page. Another thing that you have in WordPress is a site title, and they have recently made it very easy to hide it because I don't want a page to start with a title. Just go ahead and click this. Just go ahead and you see it grays out. This means that it is hidden. So you go ahead and click update, update the preview, and here we are. So we've done this in a matter of minutes. If you have a full hour at your disposal, imagine how far you would have built your website. And yes, like I said, we're not going to have a complete project, but you see, it is easy, it is user-friendly, and it's worth a try. So having said that, let's go back to my presentation and think about the next steps after we decide to go live with our project. Like mentioned before, you have plugins to add functionality. Currently, the test projects we have been using has not much more functionality other than the contact form on the Let's Connect page. If I want to install something that helps me to actively work on my performance score, if I want an SEO plugin or something other that can help me get a competitive advantage over my competitors, I can go ahead and do so by adding a plugin. And there are, as I said, 65,000 plugins in the repository alone. So you have a lot to choose from. Choose wisely, because plugins will affect the overall performance of your website. The more you install on a website, the more bloated it becomes. So I strongly suggest you follow these steps when you plan which plugins to use. Less is more. Think about what you need. Plan before you download, and this is good for your budget too, especially in the beginning. You're just trying to launch a new business. Money matters, so please check your hosting plan. Your hosting plan has a lot of functionality built in by default. And if I go back to the WordPress backend, I can actually show you what I mean by that. So here we one second, let me just remove some of these views here. So let's go to the dashboard. And here you have the plugins. Like I told you before, we haven't used any plugins other than the contact form. But as you can see, there are 3 plugins installed here. WordPress comes with a few plugins pre-installed. There is always the anti-spam from Akismet. No one likes spam. Go ahead and keep that. You have the forms, contact forms block that I downloaded. So that is a plugin. At One.com, we actually offer Imagify pre-installed but not activated. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Imagify and also offer you a nice discount on it. Then we have the One.com plugins. The parent plugin named One.com, the maintenance mode plugin, the spam protection, and performance cache. You need to keep these guys. These come pre-installed with the One.com webspace. So when you create a new WordPress site, we pre-install them for you, and this is our way of delivering all the benefits you have in your hosting plan. If you deactivate or remove these plugins, you can no longer use some of the functionality that we think is really good for you. It's of course entirely up to you, but I strongly suggest not only for the features that are in there now, but features being built in the future. So for example, we have the maintenance mode. As you can see here, in the top panel, maintenance mode is on. This means if you go to wpwebinar.site, you will get a temporary page. And these temporary pages can look slightly differently, and you can customize them quite extensively as well. For example, you can add a countdown timer. You can also tell maintenance mode what to do when you have come to the end of that countdown. Here, I have decided to disable maintenance mode and show my website once this countdown timer finishes at 12 today. You can show a subscribe form. You can also manage different roles of who gets to view your site while it's in maintenance mode. So this functionality is delivered to you by the One.com maintenance mode plugin. Keep it. You have some guidance when it comes to plugins as well. So you have our One.com plugins and other recommended plugins that we think you could benefit from using, in case this whole choosing among 65,000 of them gets a little bit daunting for you. And other stuff. There's also a nice health monitor, which is a checklist of things that you might want to do if you want your site to perform as intended. And then there is the spam protection and other functionality. If you have managed WordPress or a higher hosting plan, you also get a nice staging area. Staging area is really practical for you if you want to try new things without necessarily doing that in your live production environment. So what this will do is it will completely clone your current website and take you to a safe sandbox where you can play around with different settings and different content and try new things. And back at plugins. So let's go back to my presentation and go back to what I said about checking your hosting plan. For example, it's quite popular to download backup plugins. But why would you go and install a backup plugin when it's already included in your hosting plan? Free backups that are refreshed daily and kept for 14 days are included. So unless you have bigger backup needs, you might as well start off with the backups that are included in your hosting plan. Of course, as your business grows, so will your needs, and then it might make sense to revisit that. But for now, for your very first project, check your hosting plan and look at the functionality that is included. You might save a lot of money this way. Speaking of money, we have the different payment models applied by different plugins. You have the free, paid, and freemium ones. So there are free plugins, and what does that mean for you when you have a business? A free plugin is something supplied to you for free. So the team behind the plugin, a plugin is a piece of software, just like any other software. So the team behind this software doesn't make money off your downloads. So you might want to ask yourself, how do they get paid? Do they collect data from you? Do you need to watch ads? Does it in other ways impact your website? Also, if it is a plugin that is released as someone's pet project, there is a good chance that this person might not want to update the software. And if you then have functionality on your website that is heavily reliant on this plugin, that is a risk for you. So consider paying for your plugins, the ones you install. Consider paid or at least freemium ones, because you know that when you pay for a product, you know there is a team behind it. You know there's someone actively working on providing security updates, improving functionality, making it faster, more secure, and better continuously. So do your research, but that can be quite difficult as well. Let's go back to the plugin repository and let me show you how such research can be conducted in a pretty straightforward manner. Here we are in the WordPress repository. We go to Add New. We're here. And as you can see, all the details that you really need to know about a plugin at a first glance are here. So here you have a number of plugins with reviews. You can see there's 975 reviews of the Akismet anti-spam protection plugin. You can see that it was last updated a month ago. This is a good sign. If that would say last updated 2 years ago, I would really steer clear, because then you know for sure that there are security issues, that it might not be compatible with the latest versions of your other components, and so forth. So don't pounce on installing plugins just because it delivers the functionality you want and that it's free. Have a look at when it was last updated. And also, it might make sense to check out what people are saying about it. So if you want to search for a plugin, for example, I want a SEO plugin. I go here, and here are plugins that match my search term SEO. So as you can see, we have Rank Math that I strongly recommend that you use, which is my absolute favorite. Updated 1 week ago, compatible with your version of WordPress, 1+ million active installations. That's music to my ears. I really like this. Let's go ahead and install it. Anywho, back to my presentation. Like I said, do your research, at least the very basic stuff. And every now and then, do your spring cleaning. Remove plugins that you have stopped using. Maybe you changed something on your website that no longer needs that specific plugin. There is no reason for it to stick around and clutter your files. So, in terms of plugins, I really want you to have the One.com ones, because otherwise we cannot build more cool features for you. We cannot deliver the functionality we promise you. And then we have the good-to-haves that I recommend everyone, regardless of business type, to have a look at. The first one would be WP Rocket. WP Rocket is a community superstar. Everyone in the WordPress community loves this plugin so much. It has about 5 million active installs, and the reason why they love it is because it implements about 80% of all best practices in web development instantly, with just a few clicks. It's a no-code interface. You just toggle things on and off and see your website become instantly much faster. Another thing worth considering would be Imagify. And I actually have a link in the description for you that gives you 20% off Imagify. Imagify is not in the plugin repository, so we have pre-installed the free version for you. It's not active by default, so you need to go in and activate it. And then you're free to try it for free. You have a certain amount of images per month that you can optimize. And why I love Imagify is that it provides a lossless compression of your images. Your images are typically the culprit in a slow site. There are many of them, they take up a lot of space. If you want high quality pictures, they may be quite heavy as well in file size. So what Imagify will do is it compresses them. You can convert them to WebP, for example, which is a better format than others. And you can do that straight from your media gallery. So you don't need to learn different tools to use it. And then we have SEO, which is very important for all of you, regardless what type of business you have. And I'd say that Rank Math is the most modern way of tackling SEO for WordPress. So go ahead and install that. There's a free version as well that you can try. And there's a very active team working on making it better. If you decide to add a shop, the go-to choice would be WooCommerce, which is the leading e-commerce plugin. And then we even have a web shop of our own. It's the same web shop as for our website builder, B&E, but we offer it as a WordPress plugin as well. So go ahead and give that a try. It's free. Finally, my final slide. And I just realized I'm not even in slideshow mode. You're live, now what? So imagine that we set our project live. Now we need to track it. We need to grow. And in order to grow, you need to keep track of your performance. That's why, remember that dashboard that when you logged in? Let's go back to that. So where is my One.com dashboard? Log in, control panel. Here I am. And here we are. Control panel, click this tile to go to your WordPress stuff. And here we have our WordPress dashboard. We have built in a performance monitor. This imports data from Google Lighthouse. So this is a condensed version of a Google Lighthouse scan, which provides details on how your website is performing. So once you're live, you can go here and you can see what changed. As you can see, it says unchanged here. My site is not even live yet, so of course there will be no change. But when you do make changes to your website, you can see if some of those changes actually affect your performance. If somehow you have added images without alt texts and that causes your accessibility score to go down, you might get a hint of what is wrong and what needs fixing. You can get a report right here. And if you want, you can actually run the full report by clicking here, which will take you to PageSpeed Insights. So for example, if you see that your SEO score goes down, you can go ahead and click here, and you will end up at our handy guide on how to think about SEO. So this performance report will help you to keep building and track your progress and track your changes, and it's really, really important for you. Another thing for you as managed WordPress users that I really would like for you to consider is to set up this update manager, which is a little bit slow right now, so let me go back to this slide. There is an update manager that is very, very useful for you as a business owner. As a business owner, you don't want to spend all your time maintaining WordPress because no one is paying you for that. You're getting paid for your core business. You want your updates to basically run in the background without bothering you. Granted, there is a way of enabling automatic updates in the WordPress core. However, what makes our update manager different is that it actually cares about how an update makes your website look. Sometimes when there are compatibility issues, sites get disfigured or even become inaccessible to your visitors, which means your customers won't be able to find you. If you go here and enable automatic updates, you can enable so-called visual update testing. What that means is that it will take your site to a staging environment, take a screenshot of it before, simulate the update, take a screenshot after, and compare the two. If no change is detected visually, then the update is allowed to run live. This is very, very practical for you as a business owner, so I strongly suggest that you keep your managed WordPress trial. Another great thing about the Update Manager is that it can actually make your site more secure. Here at One.com, we throw in free vulnerability monitoring for all. It means that we monitor the components you have installed. In case you happen to install a component that has a security vulnerability in there, you will know. And we monitor this daily for you. However, if you have our Update Manager on, it will automatically go in and fix the vulnerability for you by updating to the latest and more secure version of the component. This way, you don't have to divert your attention from your core business at all. It will just fix itself in the background, and your site won't get compromised. Right? And I guess that was it from me. So thank you for joining us.